Welcome to your Tech Match 30 Days of Building Apps with AI. So, today we're working on a text simplifier app. So, let's get started. So, for today's prompt, it says create a simple app that simplifies text sentences that are too complex for someone to understand and gives the app, and this will help the app make it easier to read any given text. Use AI if needed. Okay, so that's the prompt that we use today to create that. But before we get into the app, I pulled some text from the Mastery System Key book online. And basically, I took this book and was like, hey, let me find some text in here that we can kind of simplify because a lot of words or different things in this book might be a bit complex or different for people reading in this type of text style. So I went to an text simplifier app online and I pre copied some text, and I pasted it in here. And then I asked for it to simplify the text that we see here. So this talks about like bad luck and people thinking it like they're the ones falling into this bad luck without knowing. So this is kind of something you can kind of understand, but say if we just want to simplify it even more without having to think about how it's understood. So this is what simplifies the text. So it basically talks about most people struggle to make a living, often blaming their difficulties on bad luck and different things like that. So it takes the text and simplifies it 100% where a reader can actually really understand now what that part of the book is talking about. So now let's go to a different application that also uses text simplifier and see how they simplify the same exact text but in a different way. So again, it's so many apps out here that everybody's using, that others create, but there's always more to be created. So never think that it's created already and that you can't create it. So as you can see here, the text is a little bit different. The sentence is a little bit different. It talks about like bad luck, being lucky, or anything like that. Okay. And now looking at this app too. So again, there's another text simplifier that can be used if you would like, just kind of exploring more apps that are similar to the ones that you would want to work on. So I went to Behance to try to find kind of like a user interface for a text simplifier app. I didn't really find one too much, but I did come across this one that has a bit of color in it. So again, thinking about the user interface, you can add color, you can have dark mode, light mode. So basically whatever you want to do, or again looking at different apps that you just like the user interface and taking that even though it might not be the same exact application that you're working on. So I was able to explore the web a bit and find some apps on the App Store that are text simplifiers. Some of them didn't have really good reviews, but this one is pretty cool. I didn't see this one, but again, you can see how it's broken down. It can read text, internet, different things like that. So this would be really good to kind of think about that. A lot of the apps that I just showed you were online, but also there are a lot on the App Store. So we want to get into building the app. So let's get started. So I type in the prompt that you saw earlier on in the first few screens. So I put that prompt in to create some type of text app that simplifies any type of text. And if it wants to use AI to kind of dive deeper into maybe understanding that text or anything, letting it use AI to do so. Because a lot of times it might be difficult, especially with these new applications, to be able to find what we're looking for. So we start and we go into that. And now we ask for it to be generated. So we just sit back and wait for the AI tool to generate the app for us. And it gives us information of what it's going to be doing, what it's adding to the app. So this is also something I didn't cover yesterday, but it kind of tells you exactly what it did as well outside of the coding part. Kind of talking about the different things that it used to create this. So now that it's creating your app here, now, once it's done, we have a fully functioning application that we can kind of explore more into. So, this is make complex text easy to read. So, it also gives a name. So, things like this, you can change the name inside the code. Again, changing the color, the design. So, we're going to take some text and I'm just going to type in something randomly. hoping it doesn't make sense. But it might make sense. But just to see using words like thou, ought, and different things like that to see how kind of thinking about like Shakespeare, to see how it kind of changes that text and how it would simplify that basically. If you get a text message and you're like, what is this person talking about? You can put it into the text simplifier and it will simplify that message for you. So we're going to see how it does that with this simple text that I put in here. So once we click on the simplify button, can't really see it, probably. Okay, there it goes. So now it's simplifying that text, and now it came up with you should show me love. I need to know who is on my side before I start something new with someone better who will treat me better. Someone new with someone. So it kind of simplifies that. Also gives you like idea of what's on the app. So AI powered, clear and concise, instant results, different things like that. So now say if I want to take this up a notch, now I want to do, can you simplify Bible verses? So a lot of people I know are getting more tapped into the spiritual side and learning more about different things. So what if I wanted to simplify the actual Bible and verses and giving you a verse and it just makes it easier? So I do believe that you could have just did this in the Simplify Act, but what if I want a whole section for it and then I want an audio recording of it? So basically, I wanted to be able to take the audio of me speaking and then also being able to do that. So let's see what happens here. So now I'm making a change to it. It's really tricky to make changes sometimes to these AI apps because that's usually what breaks your code. So you want to be really precise when you first are creating or when you do add changes is nothing too complex. So now that we have this, we're going through this part of the code. Now that this section is done, now we see we have general text and we have Bible verses. So let me go over and explore more about the different settings that we just added. So if I go into the new features that we have and I click on Bible verses, and then now it kind of gives me like a placeholder of what that might look like. So I'll type that in and I'll find a Bible verse and I'll put that into that section there. So now as I type in the Bible verse, I'm pulling a chapter from the book of the New Testament. And then I would put that into my Bible verse section and kind of seeing what it gives me. And some Bibles are different than others. Some are more able to be understood. And some actually just are still have a bit more jargon to it that others might have a hard time comprehending. So this is a great way to be able to do so. So once we have that there, now it was able to simplify the verse for us. And then it basically takes it and makes it more
When you hear about
simplified.
wars
As
or
you
people
can see
talking about
here,
wars,
we have
don't be
his
afraid or upset.
audio.
These things will happen, but it isn't the end yet.
And it translates it for us. But what we actually wanted to do is we wanted to be able to speak to it. So that's another thing when coming with these apps. You also have to be really specific about what you wanted to do. So it actually gave me an audio button that was able to give me the text back to me, read it back to me, but I wanted it to be able to collect my voice and simplify whatever I was saying. So again, going through a bit of the code, again, we'll be able to dive into things within code a little more deeper in later sessions. But ideally, this is kind of just so you can see that you are able to edit this text, change colors within this text, and everything that you would need. And that is it, everyone. There we have it, another app created. I'm Shadira, your tech matcher, and these are the tools that I used today. And thank you so much for joining. See you tomorrow.